council meeting will now come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, honorable city council members, mayor, to our administrative staff, to our city attorney, and our chief of staff, and to all of you that are in the audience this evening, and also to those who are viewing tonight's broadcast via our broadcast channel and YouTube Live. Welcome to the City of Romulus City Council regular meeting, and today's date is Monday, August 28th, 2023. Members of the public wishing to participate in this meeting may do so under the public comment portion of the agenda. Please fill out a request to speak public comment card, which is located on the table in the back of the chambers, and hand it to the deputy clerk. And at this time, we will have roll call. Councilwoman Abdo. Here. Councilman Barden.
Here.
Councilwoman Roscoe.
Here.
Councilwoman Talley.
Here.
Councilman Wadsworth.
here.
We know that Councilwoman Webb is excused.
Excused.
And Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Council, I'm asking you to amend and approve an amended agenda tonight. We're going to add agenda item 6C. Therefore, we're asking council to approve an amended agenda for tonight's regular meeting, and which is as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. Number 3, petitioner. 4, chairperson's report. 5, mayor's report. 6, clerk's report. 7, treasurer's report. 8, public comment. 9, unfinished business. 10, new business. 11, warrant. 12, communication. And 13, adjournment. And a motion will be in order to accept the amended agenda for tonight's regular council meeting.
So moved to accept the amended regular council agenda for tonight.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Abdo for approval of amended agenda as presented. Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Thank you. Agenda item 2 for approval are the minutes from the regular meeting held on Monday, August 14th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth.
I'm going to move that we approve the council meeting that was held on Monday, August the 14th.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Talley, for approval of minutes from our regular meeting held on Monday, August the 14th at 7:30. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Thank you. There were no special meetings held on Monday, August 14th, 2023. Number 3, petitioners, which we have no petitioners this evening on the agenda, takes us to number 4, the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At 6:30, we had a public hearing on the demolition 23-0101. And at this time, the chair is going to recognize our state representative from the great state of Michigan.
Thank you. Let me see. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor, and residents. My name is Dylan Wigella, for those of you who don't know me. I am a new face in Michigan politics. I represent the District 26, which is Garden City, Inkster, Southeast Westland, and Northeast Romulus. I've been in Lansing for about 7 months. My background is I was a public school teacher for 7.5 years, as well as a president for my local teachers union, among a lot of many other things. That being said, I am trying to do this work a little bit differently, I think, than has been done in the past. I have been going around quarterly to city councils to give an update, and this is the first time I've made it here, so hopefully you can expect me forward each quarter. The problem has been that in the 4 cities I represent, all of the cities have their council meetings at 7 or 7:30 on Mondays, so that has been fun to navigate. We've had a pretty busy start as I've been elected. I've really tried to make sure that I am present in the community. So I've been to over 50 events throughout the district. I have 100% attendance record in Lansing. We've had 7 coffee hours, approximately 1 a month, and I rotate cities. We've had 2 here in Romulus, 1 at the senior center and 1 at the library. I've been to 9 council meetings throughout my tenure so far, and we've had 6 community advisory council meetings. I'll explain what the community advisory council here is very shortly. And I know that all of our residents cannot make it to council meetings, club meetings, community meetings, and so forth. So we've actually knocked on over 4,000 doors since May to make sure that we are getting the input of our residents. Wanting to make sure that they know what we're doing in Lansing, how I'm voting on things, explaining that to people, as well as getting their feedback and what they would like us to do. So the Community Advisory Council is something that I created as a way to connect our district. As you all probably are aware, our district is a new district, and I want to make sure that our leaders know each other and are working together. And I hope that each of you have been receiving my monthly emails for this. I know Councilmember Talley has been out to almost every single meeting, but essentially what this is it's a group of community organizers, elected officials, and even faith leaders across the district. Anybody who's listening and wants to be part of this group, we have people that are just, rank and file citizens of the city who participate. And it's been created to build connection and collaboration throughout the district. We rotate what city we hold these meetings in. We had one here at the Nest a couple months ago, and I think our next one is going to be, I think it might actually be back in Romulus. I'll have to check when we get back home. But this has been really great. We've had a lot of really interesting conversations about where to move the community and discussions about policy up in Lansing. In this year's budget, I think most people are aware of this at this point, or at least I hope. Senator Camilleri and State Rep Reggie Miller and I secured $1 million for Romulus Public Schools to expand the career technical education program there. We're hoping to be able to continue to fund this at the state level, and we've actually had the largest school aid budget in Michigan's history this year, which has been, I've been so proud of this because we are finally making it right of decades of disinvestment we've had in our public schools. A couple highlights of that is students across the state will have free breakfast and lunch. GSRP and startup programs are expanded so that more people can have access to preschool. We have put in special funds to make sure kids are getting back on track in their reading and mathematics from the pandemic. And it's been about a 5% increase per pupil. I think, did I skip one? Oh, I'll come back to my contact in a second. A couple other things in this historic budget. Now, the process of the budget is a little bit interesting in Lansing. It's an $82 billion budget. I'm actually on policy. So you, as a rep, you're either on policy or you're on appropriations. Policy is looking at constructing new laws, and appropriations actually works on the budget. So unfortunately, the pathway well, that's not necessarily unfortunately, I actually like policy, but you either are put on appropriations path or a policy path. So I didn't get to work hand on the budget as some of my colleagues, but they've done a really good job with it. And it's a process that takes several months, but I will note that I only had maybe 4 hours to read an $82 billion budget. So I, myself, think that process needs to change for the transparency of Michigan, but we've had some really good stuff in there, such as $600 million for water infrastructure. We're increasing revenue sharing, as well as a one-time increase for public safety, which I think we all know is a really important issue, specifically here in Romulus. I know there's been efforts to make sure we get some more money for infrastructure at the police station. And then $416 million for roads and public infrastructure. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the budget. And I didn't want to sit here talking about the budget for forever. But I'll mention 2 more things. One is My office this week will be announcing legislation to take on some of the issues we're having with DTE. 93% of representatives in Lansing take campaign contributions from DTE. I am one of the 7% that does not. DTE also influences our politics by donating money to political nonprofits that you cannot track. My office is introducing legislation to end that practice and make it illegal for DTE to do so. This is a really big issue that we see in Lansing because us, as state representatives, we regulate the Michigan Public Service Commission, which regulates our utility companies. So if you're wondering why our power has had such a hard time staying on the last several years, I think you can look no further than your state reps, because we're the ones who are responsible for giving the Michigan Public Service Commission the teeth to solve this problem. So look out for that. I won't say too much more about it. We are hoping to publish an opinion editorial that hopefully will get around to the community. And I stand with the people in making sure that our power stays on. And the last thing I'll mention, and I know the mayor and I have had a lot of conversations about this, but the number of corporate subsidies that we have done this year alone has been quite astounding. We've done around $3.7 billion in corporate subsidies. Our surplus was $9 billion. I voted against every corporate subsidy. I view them as a corporate handout or corporate welfare. There's a debate on whether they're economic development or that. My view is that when you give money to the wealthy, that's trickle-down economics. It's not something I support as a representative. That being said, in just 7 months, I already have voted against more corporate subsidies than any Democrat in the history of Michigan, which just shows you how many we have done. We've done more in the last 7 months than in the last 8 years. I think that money should go to schools, roads, infrastructure, et cetera. And I believe, for my 4,000 door conversations, that is in general what our citizens want. They want their tax dollars going to things that benefit them publicly. That being said, my phone number for our office is up here. It's 517-734-3817. And my email is on the screen. It's just my first and last name at house.mi.gov. And I'll say one last thing here. I'm very proud to represent Romulus. I live in Garden City, but my great-grandfather lived in Romulus, just as my grandmother lived in Inkster, and I lived in Westland when I was a kid. I'm connected across the district, and I really am just so thankful that people have trusted in me, and I hope to lead this position in one that is transparent. Whether you agree or not with the decisions I make, I hope that I can come to you and explain them, and moving forward in the fall, be a lookout on social media. We're going to have a graphic for every vote that I take explaining what the vote does and why I voted the way I did. Again, I don't expect that people to always agree with my decisions, but I want to be as transparent as possible because I think that's been lacking in this position for a long time. So thank you so much. And I don't know if I can take questions, but I would love to.
No. I'd like to make a comment, Mr. Barton.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate all you do, and just a heads up, I only missed one of your meetings, and that's because we had our 24-hour Relay for Life event, so I commit to that, and so I'm sorry I didn't miss your meeting Saturday, but thank you for all you do. Your meetings are very informative. You bring us back what's going on in Lansing. I appreciate that, and you're about action, and I like that too, and you have not made popular decisions, but you own it, and you do it, and you explain what, why you did what you did, and I appreciate that as well. I love your transparency. We need more transparency, so thank you for all that you do for the help our city of Romulus and your whole district, so thank you, Dylan. Thank you, State Rep Dylan.
Thank you. On one note on the advisory council, if you haven't made it to a meeting, please come, and if you can't come every week, please come when you can, and we've started now doing hybrid option to where you can participate remotely. It's a wonderful experience to meet people organizing for so many great things across the district.
A quick question, I'm sorry. I thought it was 1.6 we got for the school. It's only 1 million?
I think that we have to make an amendment in the fall,
Okay.
is my understanding.
Okay.
So that's the hope, but I didn't want to come here and
I got you.
tell you it before it was set in stone.
Okay, thank you.
I know you very well. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I want you to go to Lansing and make sure that you remember Romulus while you're there. And I'm not saying you haven't, but we need money for roads, we need money for sidewalks. So make sure when you're up there, you already got your sleeves rolled up. Make sure you're hitting those tables and telling them they need to, implement more money to Romulus. Not just the schools, but also our city. We can definitely use it. They're handing out blank checks to so many different cities. You representing Romulus, make sure you get some of those checks for us.
Yeah, and one of the things we push hard for that we admittedly didn't get is local road funding. We are going to be pushing very, very hard for that next year. But through hopefully the Community Advisory Council and the conversations with the mayor and you all, we'll get a concrete list early. And that'll give me more time. Now that I have a better understanding how the process works, it's a fast process, and I'm going to start carrying a little list. And every time I talk to my colleagues, I'm going to pull that list out and remind them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
It's been refreshing to come to see you still engaged with the city. A lot of times elected officials show up once in 4 years. And you've been engaged since you took office. And you're right, you and I have agreed to disagree on a couple of conversations, but you always stand by your convictions, and I respect that about you.
Yes.
And there's always a good conversation until we get Wisconsin and Ohio to stop at those subsidies. Michigan's got to do something. So I don't have an answer for you yet, but I appreciate it for you. And you're always in contact with the city. You're one of the first to reach out when we had the well issue, one of the first to reach out to see how Romulus was doing when that storm hit us last week. So you've been president of the community. I appreciate that. And the help you did with our schools. It is 1.6. We're going to stick them to that.
Yeah, we're going to stick to that.
Please do.
So, but also the well issue, we're still waiting on answers for that, but you were speaking up for Romulus on the well in Lansing too, so I appreciate that, and it's good to see you out in our community, coming to engage and give us answers even when it's not election time, so thank you for that, keep up the great work, and look forward to seeing you run around Lansing for quite some time.
Thanks, and I'll just quickly mention, I have introduced legislation to enter Michigan into an interstate compact if other states agree to end the practice of this, what I would call race to the bottom, but of the basically, we're competing with Wisconsin or we're competing with New York to gain projects. I mean, the most recent one, we didn't even get it. We offered this company $4 billion to bring a chips manufacturing plant here, and New York offered them $5.5 billion. So it is an issue that we need to find a solution to. So.
And it's not always the answer, because Ohio has bid higher subsidies than we did, and we still got them because of talent and workforce. So yeah, it's a good conversation, and Lansing and DC need to solve it, so.
And hopefully, as we continue to expand career technical programs, that talent will be a driver. That's the way I would like us to
Bingo.
approach it. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much.
Again, thank you, State Rep, ma'am,
No, it's
just a minute. Hold on. First of all, then you can ask the question. Again, thank you for coming out. Dalen, pronounce your last name.
Dylan Wagella.
Say it again.
Wagella.
Wagella.
Don't
Okay.
worry, the clerks in Lansing still can't get it, and it's their job, so.
Thank you again for coming out, and Ms.
If I
Bragg.
can, Mr. Chair, State Representative Regala, can you repeat that phone number? We have a phone number that's displayed that everybody's watching, but the number you recited was a little different than the number that's here.
I meant to read the number that was on the screen.
Okay.
517-373-3818.
Okay, thank you. We
Yes,
just wanted
sorry.
for clarification.
That's my office number. Let's see, I have my other phone number that people can even directly call me if they would like to. This is my Google Voice number, and I am more than comfortable giving this out to the people. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I'll say this, if you look at my website, you can find it, so.
Okay, you young lady.
You're never hard for us to find, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. The young lady, you want a question you want to ask him?
Yeah, so the running total, so there's a couple organizations that track it. The state so far this year has given $3.7 billion, which is approximately equivalent to 40% of our surplus that we used to have. And I've been sounding the alarm on this, and I was been the only Democrat in office sounding alarm on it, because just a quick story, and I'm sorry I'm taking so much time up, council, but when I taught in Arizona, which I did after college for 5 years, I taught in classrooms that where I taught as a team leader, where I had 2 classrooms with no teacher. And this is because decades of tax cuts and decades of corporate subsidies, and I've seen that just decimate our public institutions. As you all know, you need revenue sharing to operate as a city. School districts need money, but police stations, fire departments, things for the public good. So I've been trying to make sure that we're not being short-sighted, that if we do hit a recession, we can survive. And that has been a tough position to take, but I do think the pro of it is people are starting to rethink this process, and I'm hoping that I played a small part in that, so.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, State Rep.
Thank you.
At this time, the chair will recognize Councilwoman Abdo.
Oh, for my announcement? I didn't know we were doing announcements now. Yes, I just wanted to announce that the rack will be open on Labor Day. It will be from 8 to 5, but the pool will only be open from 9 to 4. But then the rack is closing down from the 5th to the 8th for the faculty, for rack improvement. However, the pool is going to be closed even longer. It's going to be closed from the 5th through the 10th, so they wanted people to be aware of that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Abdo. Next, the chair is going to recognize Councilwoman Talley.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. First, I'm sure I'll get support. I would like to make a memorial resolution for Pamela Kersey, our former city treasurer of the city of Romulus.
Support.
And just a couple of comments before we get into that. There's going to be a viewing at husband's funeral home at 2401 South Wayne Road, Westland, Michigan 48186, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. this Saturday, September 2nd. I think that's the 2nd, this Saturday for her. And then there will be a celebration of life held at the Hype Western Wayne Recreation Center at 4635 Howell Street, Wayne, Michigan 48184, from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. So I just wanted to share that information. And then just comments about Pam. Known the family for years. Her sister is my best friend. We was in high school together, elementary, so she's my best friend. So just condolences to the Pamela Kersey family, Morrison family. To be honest, Pam was the one that planted the seed of going in, I don't like to call it politics, into government, local government. She was the one that planted the seed in me. When she first got hired in, when she first was elected as city treasurer, she gave me an invitation to her inauguration. And I didn't know at the time what it meant, but when she gave me that, I still have the invitation she gave me. And so I always say she was the one that planted the seed in me to get involved. It took years down the line for it to happen, but she was the one that planted the seed. And I am forever grateful to her for that, and just for the friendship that I have with that family and my best friend, Armetta Morrison. We call her Angie. Thank you.
Mr. Wadsworth.
John, if I can, Pam was working here in City Hall when I first got elected, back in 1983, and I had a friendship with her. She was excellent at what she did working here in the city. She was excellent as a treasurer for the city, and she had a very unique sense of humor, and I consider her my friend, and the Lord sure took her at a very young age. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to say that I'd like to give up condolences to the Kersey family. I know Kersey used to live right around the street corner from myself, and like Mr. Wadsworth and Ms. Talley stated that how beautiful person she was. So definitely going to be missed, and just keep the family in prayers. Okay, William.
Yes, and I just want to make something clear that the residents are not misled by the viewing at the family home is open to the public, but the memorial is only for close friends and family. And I've been working closely with Dominique, Pam's daughter, and that's what the memorial is for, just close friends and family. Thank you.
If there's no other discussion, it was motion by Ms. Talley, supported by Mr. Wadsworth. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion is approved. That concludes the chairperson's report.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept your report.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for approval of the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion is approved. Thank you.
Number 5 is the mayor's report.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council. Deputy Clerk, audience here, and also audience at home. No action on tonight's my report, but I do want to thank all of our residents and all of our staff for the efforts people put behind dealing with that storm that we had last week. Records amount of rainfall came. State Rep. Geller reached out to see how the city was doing. Senator Camilleri, we had Lansing reached out, Debbie Dingle and Rashida Tlaib still reached out. Key relationships with the airport. There's so many things with an event like this and things that keep it in perspective. I drove through Williamson yesterday and I saw where that tornado hit, and thank God there was no loss of life here. We lost some property, we were inconvenienced, we knew how to do some things down the road to prevent the flooding, and we can get to work with the county, and hopefully, our state reps can help on that issue to take care of some of the draining. But that, officially, they're saying 6.1 inches of water in 6 hours, and the system is not designed. So big scale, there's things we need to work on as a country with our lifestyle to address those issues, but also with the county on a more local issue to address those issues. When you have a major highway flooding in an airport, that airport's only been closed twice since I've been around, and this is one of them. So it tells you how significant this event was. And we need to change the way we're doing some things, but also, like I said, our staff was to the task, to the point I was worried about burnout. They were there at the senior center passing out the dry ice, who did through Home City Ice, and also water for our residents who didn't have access to that. And we're working on a way to have some citywide free dumping for people who lost furniture and basements and how they clean up after this mess. So we're working on some solutions for them as well. But the main conversations need to stay focused on the drain issues and how we were seeing these, they used to call them 100-year events. I think we've had 3 100-year events in the last 10 years. So something has definitely changed, and we need to make sure we're on, having conversations and taking action about how we fix those things forward. But, Romulus was resilient. The people took it. I know it's a pain in the rear with the DTE and the power being out. My power didn't come back on until Sunday. So we're going to continue to work with DTE, and it's interesting to hear what you just brought up. So I'm definitely interested in hearing more on that because they can do better. And how do we get better to serve the residents? But, things are changing. If residents have sump pumps that were running and they couldn't keep up with the amount of water, you may have to look at putting another sump pump in because things are changing with water courses that are below grade. And there's more and more water coming, so we need to be careful, be proactive, and handle it. So, but I can't say enough staff and our first responders, police, fire, DPW workers that were out around the clock doing all they could. I know they couldn't get everybody as fast as they wanted to be there, but they also had issues at home. They had basement flooding in their own house. They had to take care of their families before they could come in here as well. So they managed to find time. They picked up the phone. We called them to come in for overtime. They worked all weekend. They're still out today, so we'll try to play catch up. We're running the chipper crew, so make sure residents know that they call DPW, get on that address so we can come pick up the limbs. And like I said, stay tuned on what we're going to do with waste management, or Roberto's still working on something for us. We'll bring a couple dumpsters into the DPW. We'll make announcements on that, so if you have furniture property that's too much for waste management to take, bring it down there. We're going to try to offer some relief to our residents. So hang in there. We're doing all we can, and like I said, I can't say enough to our city staff that came up and showed up above and beyond and did all they could to keep our residents as comfortable as possible during this time. So that concludes my report for this evening. Maybe not.
Ms. Williams and then Ms. Roscoe.
Mayor, I don't even know how to say thank you enough, because the tornado, whatever hit Evelyn Meadows around 10:30, quarter to 11, and when it was done in those quick 10 minutes, it ended up looking like Beirut. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, because the trees, majority all the tree lines and trees from behind people's homes were laying in the street, so the traffic couldn't get through. And I looked out the window, and there go DPW. 2 in the morning, and they stayed to at least about 5, and then they came back the next day.
Right.
And the thing I ask for their safety, because some people are so rude. They're trying to chip up the debris or, cut down the stump or whatever the case, and cars is all trying to run them over, cussing them out. On Sunday, a Romulus police came through. I'm not for sure of the officer's name, but he sit there on the corner to kind of detour traffic from being just so disrespectful. I mean, they didn't care if they ran someone over, they cussing them out, they running over people's lines. But those DPW workers, I'm telling you, you have to give them stars, because they took all of that heat in spite of out there just constantly going, loading the truck up, dumping it, coming back, dumping it. Because I rode from the south to the east to the west, to the north. And I didn't see the neighborhoods as bad as it hit Evelyn Meadows. And I'm telling you, we're about 90, I would say 95% back to normal. And so I would like to say to you, their boss, thank you, because they work their butt off. They work their butt off, and I think we need to prepare that if something like this happen again, they need some type of security there with them, especially that time of the night or even in the daytime, because everybody don't have the respect to allow them to do their job. But please let them know that we at Evelyn Meadows appreciate the cleanup. Thank you.
Yep, we'll definitely pass it on to them. And you're right, a lot of people don't think of DPW as being first responders, and you use DPW every day. You use police and fire when you're calling them. The DPW guys are the unsung heroes of this community that come. They don't have to answer that phone on Saturdays and Sundays. Hey, I'm tired, I'm not coming in, but they have that sense of duty to our residents, and they come in and they do the work and keep our infrastructure going to the best of their ability. So I will definitely pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes, and I totally agree with Ms. Williams on her comments on the DPW and the fire department, police department. I mean, first we had the floods, and then we had the winds and whatever.
Wires
That was
down,
the following
wires down,
night,
wires-
back to back, and that was a toughie. And when you were talking about getting on the list to get your branches and tree limbs, that's very important. You need to get on the list. Do they need to call the mayor's office, or is it better for them to call the DPW?
Yep, either or. Call City Hall, call the DPW, and we'll get those on the list.
Either one, they'll get on that list, so they don't get bounced around.
Just a quick comment too, I saw a thread on the internet where everybody loves to rant. They were talking about, the process, get them up, the branches trimmed up with the fat end out to the.
Exactly.
That helps us service all the residents, so we just need a little bit of cooperation. If people just put a pile up there, now our guys will do it, but they're gonna be there for hours and they can't get down the road. So we just
Exactly.
need a little bit of, help me help you from the residents, so we can get our guys, we can assist them in getting our city caught up, so.
Exactly, and as far as, for the flooding with furniture or items like that, as soon as we get information as to dumpsters, we'll get it out there. But in the meantime, what do they do with it? What if they put it out to the street? Is Waste Management going to come along and pick that up, or no?
They can handle some of it as a bulk pickup and call Waste Management to address it, but some residents have too much. So Waste Management won't be able to address all of that. So we're gonna work with Waste Management on how we get a rate for that and how we can help relieve the residents. And also some people have so much stuff, they might just rather pick it to the dump yard and throw it in the big dumpster, and we'll go that route. But one way or the other, we're gonna help the residents who lost
But
property.
they can call for more information on that
Yeah,
also.
we'll probably have details on that plan the next day or two. Roberto is just finalizing some things with Waste Management and how to be most efficient at it. So that'll be out on social media. Please share it, let the residents know that we're gonna have this opportunity for them.
Perfect. I just wanted to make it very clear, because it devastation all over the city.
Yeah.
Mr. Wadsworth?
John, if I can, just real quick, the police and fire there's no doubt that they're very important in this town. But for years, I've said that the DPW and the office workers in this town are really the backbone of this city, and they proved it this weekend. They proved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last comment.
I do that.
And that concludes my report for the night. I don't know what Bill did, but he did something.
A couple
You
more.
gotta put another quarter in there, Bill.
Couple more comments and then.
Mayor, just
Okay.
one more comment while we're talking about the storms and everything. It's very important people go on the website, find out how to sign up for the code red that alerts your phones, alerts your emails, however you set that up to do that. Because on top of the sirens, because some of these homes, you can't, they're so soundproof, you barely hear them, but they're out there. I mean, they were blaring the other night. But also, the phones were going off, and very important. Get on the website, get the information, get hooked up with your code red, and not just for the storms. When we have other major issues going on, you'll get alerted for those emergency situations. Very important tool. Everybody's
that's a
got a
great
cell
point.
phone anymore, practically in their pocket.
Yep,
So-
great point. It's a free service we provide for the residents. A lot of people think like, oh, that's the big brother, and we don't want to give our number out, but it gives us a way to
Only
reach
takes
you.
a minute to sign
and-
up.
And snow emergencies, flooding, power lines, whatever, we could share information or reverse 911 calls, what it is. So it's a great tool for our residents to have. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
And Mayor, we have so many residents that's confused about who responsibility it is when it comes to their property. Can you explain to them that it is not the city responsibility that for any damage that's done to their property beyond the sidewalk to their home or in the back of their home? Because a lot of residents were being very insulting to some of those DPW workers because they wouldn't go behind their homes and get up those trees. So as the mayor, could you let them know that is not the city responsibility, and the city is not responsible for any damage to their home from a tree falling on it from the back of their property?
And that is asked all the time. And if you gave our guys a choice, they'd go on there and take care of it for the residents. They'd love to do that. But we can't do that. We can't allocate public funds to solve a private issue. And that's what you're doing if you go on a public or private property. So road right away and in front of it, our guys are okay to work there and do those things as much as we can. But when you get on a private property, it becomes a legal issue, and our attorney
Yeah.
can speak on it as well. So as much as those guys would love to do that and accommodate those residents, they can't do that.
Yeah.
It becomes a legal issue, so.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, DPW and Director Jeff. Kemp, one resident wanted me to tell you, because they had a problem, and you solved it right away. I mean, you got back with them, and I said I would mention that. And thank you for your service and your team, and administration, Mayor, Chief of Staff, all y'all. I think all y'all do a great job for this city of Romulus. I think residents really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you.
Number 6 is the clerk's report. 6A, request council approval for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 2324-4 in the amount of $15,000 to recognize donations for the B2B event and corresponding expenditures. This budget amendment was introduced at the August 14th regular council meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Roscoe.
I'll make that motion for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 23/24-4 to recognize the B2B event donations of $15,000.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo. Second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 23/24-4. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion is approved.
Thank you. 6B, request council approval for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 2324-5 in the amount of $13,000 to recognize additional donations for the Pumpkin Festival event and corresponding additional expenditures. This budget amendment was introduced at the August 14th regular council meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Roscoe?
for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 23/24-5 for the donations of $13,000 for the Pumpkin Festival.
Support.
Been motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 23/24-5. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that motion is approved.
Thank you. And lastly, agenda item 6C, and again, this item was added, which amended our agenda. A public hearing was held this evening for property owners of demolition list 23-01 to present objections to the demolition and/or removal of debris of their properties. Therefore, we're asking council to approve the demolition of structures and removal of all debris on demolition list 23-01 and to let for bids for a demolition contractor for the following properties: 7305 Hollywood, 10524 Inkster, 37187 Minton, 10885 Middlebelt, 11318 Moore, 28055 Van Born, 29805 and 29815 Van Born, 31021 Van Born, 36009 Van Born, and 11010 Whitehorn. Motion will be in order.
John?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth?
If I can, based on the meeting that took place tonight at 6:30, and also on the recommendation of the Construction Board of Appeals that was held on June the 14th, I move that we approve the demolition list 23-01, and the clerk read the addresses into the record.
Support.
Been motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for amended agenda for the properties that the clerk mentioned. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes?
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. That concludes the clerk's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Number 7 would be the treasurer's report, and there is no report this evening. And that takes us to number 8, public comment. And this is the portion of the agenda for those of you who are in the audience and those who would like to address City Council. The rules to address City Council can be found on the back of the meeting agenda. To address City Council, please raise your hand. And after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. Please note that members of the public who submitted a public comment card will be called upon first. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time will be upon the consent of the chairperson. Mr. Chair, we do have one written request,
Okay.
and that is from Mr. Stephen Dunbar. Please take the podium. You can ask for additional time from the chairperson.
I'm coming here today for a couple reasons. One is that we live downstream from the Sexton Kilfoy drain, and this is in Taylor. And usually Taylor floods when you get these 100-year storms, but it was really just ever since I've been a kid, it's just one of those storms that happens once a year, and they're always bad. Or it's a hurricane that came up and dumped a bunch of rain. So, but when those do happen, that airport's got to stay open by whatever means necessary. Whoever they have to flood out, that airport stays open. Do you guys have jurisdiction on that airport?
None.
No, we don't have.
We don't have any jurisdiction over Metro Airport, none whatsoever.
They got authority. No, we don't have it.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about, that they kind of do whatever they want. And there's a lot of people on this drain that I'm representing right now, because I'm the only one that wants to get everybody together to get this handled, so we don't got to keep cleaning up our basements. And well, this is really what had happened 10 years ago, that they put in new pumps. And I don't know how they got permits cleared for that. I've been talking with Christine Aleo that writes the permits. And apparently there's a new permit coming up for vote. But basically they want the airport to put a waste treatment facility in. And, but that's fine. I get that. I love that idea. I have all the animals around should be drinking some decent, clean water instead of airplane de-icer. And so after this big rain, Taylor didn't flood. Do you know why Taylor didn't flood? Because the pump broke down at the airport, so it couldn't flood Taylor. So, but that drain has been running for three days. And I brought video for anybody who would like to see what is going on. And it's been going on for over 10 years. A couple of years ago, there was in the 20, that storm that came down, that one did a lot of damage. That got into a crawl space and stunk it up for weeks. And who knows what it did to the foundation.
Let me give you a few more minutes, though.
Okay,
Go
so it washed out a tree hit a house, broke a whole bunch of stuff. County came out and cleaned out the drain, and then that was it. Nothing about helping the people out. Okay, so this is what I kind of tell everybody. Would you like it can I come over to your house and grab your garden hose, open up your window, put the hose in and turn on the faucet in your house? Would you be okay with that? Anybody?
Obviously not.
Okay, that's what we're dealing with. And then, to top it off, here's the kicker. You gotta pay your own flood insurance for them to do that. And it's got a lot of people hot. And so I'm trying to find out where all this water's coming from, so I drive up by the airport on Harrison Road. There's a company doing a brownfield, backfilling a brownfield over here. And what are they doing? They're pumping out, it looks like an old retention pond down the drain. And so I called the Romulus Police Department to come out there, which they came out there, and the officer that came out there was super nice. Better than Taylor Police, I guess. He was, pleasant. So there is a police report on that. They told that police officer that they had a permit to pull water out from this brownfield that they're backfilling. Who knows what was in this hole going down that drain? I don't believe you guys give permits for that, do you? Right. So there's a police report for that. And, that just put more water in the drain. And I'd like, whoever wants to see the video of the water that's still being pumped on the property, I'd like to show you after that. And that's kind of all I wanted to find out. I'm trying to find out who's got jurisdiction over there. But it seems like we have a drain commissioner, Al Hadius, for Romulus. It isn't here. We have a representative, DeSanta, for this area. Dylan shouldn't be here. Dylan, you're a great guy. I don't know where our new state representative is. They should have never got rid of Garza.
Amen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
Yes, we have another written request.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Leah Garrison?
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Leah Garrison. I live on Osga Street, off of E-Course, across from the GM plant. I am here today because after the storms that took place on August 24th and 25th, nearly every single property on Osga Street flooded. Well, actually, every single property on Osga Street flooded, and nearly every property along E-Course Road from the railroad tracks all the way down to E-Course and Haggerty flooded, including nearly every industrial property in that area. I just wanted to bring that up because we had a meeting, I believe it was in May, and the council was not aware of how bad the flooding was on E-Course Road in that specific area. So I just wanted to put it out there that it was all flooded, and I have video of it. Everything was flooded. The issue, the main issue for me personally, is not just with the amount of water that flooded the area. It's the fact that both my husband and I have smelled something similar to like petroleum fumes. That's the best way that I could describe it. Coming from the swamp water wetland area, where the water collects behind and around my house. I'm right where the conservation easement is, at the end of between Osga and Wick. The McClowry Drain runs behind and next to several industrial businesses, and this drain is a tributary that empties into the wetland area surrounding my house and the houses on Osga Street. Today, the smell was not as potent since the water's been receding, but over the last several days, upon walking outside to pick up sticks and leaves from the storm, especially as you get close to the water, my eyes and throat would start burning. Out of nowhere on Saturday, my middle daughter complained of feeling nauseous and just not feeling well Saturday night. We have, over the last, all weekend, we've avoided staying outside for long periods of time because of this issue, but this obviously is not a long-term solution. I'm here tonight asking and hoping that this issue can be investigated and addressed, so my family and I can feel comfortable spending time at least in the yard or on the porch again. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the last written request to speak, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments from the audience? If there's no other, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I really hadn't planned on speaking tonight, but there's a few issues that I would like to throw out there. Dylan, it's nice to meet you. I will be contacting your office because, boy, do we have some issues I'd like to talk to you about. Am I allowed to address the mayor directly, or do I have to talk through you?
You can address the mayor.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, has the Waymaster been contacted yet?
I'll have to follow up with our chief of police to find out if he's reached out to him directly, but we are reaching out to Wayne County.
Okay. Who in Wayne County? The Waymaster?
I'd have to talk to my chief of police to find out.
Okay, you do know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
right? You do remember our conversation about the semi-trailers rolling up and down Wick Road?
Absolutely.
The 35-mile-an-hour zone that they habitually have broken until they did put up those cute little signs in front of the school. So now they, have slowed down a little bit, so I thank you for that. Speed-wise, we are still having just as many 53-foot semi-tractor trailers rolling up and down our road on a daily basis, several times a day. So that's one of the things I'll be reaching out to you about. Just throwing this out there, don't really expect an answer tonight, but question, why do we keep giving away so much of a potential tax base to companies like Ashley Capital, when there is so much work that needs to be done in this city about things like what Lee was just talking about, our roads, our infrastructure. I guess my little tiny mind fails to understand the concept of giving away to big business and putting the back on us taxpayers. Because like my husband said the other night when we were here, can we start paying 10% of our taxes for the next 23 years? Or is that the money you guys are counting on spending for your other things? Just a question. Why did Ashley Capital get private meetings? Have you formed a citizens committee maybe to talk about all this development they're doing? Or is this just Ashley Capital is special? Again, just a question, really. Don't expect an answer out of anybody tonight. Why did they get their vote moved? Weren't they supposed to have a vote tonight on the bigger, better, badder building that they're wanting to put up in our front yard? With the bigger, badder light poles and the idling trucks? Wasn't that supposed to be tonight? That's a question I'd really like answered. Weren't they supposed to be here?
That was postponed because it was obviously a lack of communication. Some people wanted some questions answered, some more conversations. So Ashley Capital did decide to pump the brakes on its development once they heard the community and the concerns, and they want to address those concerns, and they want to have smaller meetings to address those concerns and see if they can't find a mutual common ground on those ones. So the timeline wasn't as important in Ashley Capital. We advised that they pump the brakes and try to address some of these concerns and issues, and that's what they decided to do. So no dates have been decided as far as future, but they will be out there and they will be transparent. They will be published. There's going to be no secret meetings for Ashley Capital.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And my last point, because I know I'm probably running over on my time.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys really should take a minute to watch Steve video. It's almost like he's living in front of a rushing river. So take a few minutes, watch it. It's very enlightening. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dylan, nice to meet you. I'm Julie.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? If there's no other comments from the audience, oh, go ahead, come up to the podium.
So with the weather, like the extreme weather patterns that we're probably going to continue to see, as far as like all of that rainfall that we got and all of the flooding, because you know Michigan is just like one huge wetland. One thing that I noticed, this is more so of a suggestion as far as like dealing with, I guess, traffic when like these issues happen with the flooding, because this past storm, I don't know if anyone saw, but they had closed both of the exits for the 275, then they closed the Wayne Road exit, and the Vining Road exit was open, but then Vining Road, which is also, you know, goes into Wayne Road, was like washed out damn near. Excuse my language. But cars were literally like adrift. And the problem was that there was just like this bottleneck of traffic because of the way that things had been shut off exits, and so people were trying to figure out how to navigate around that. The only suggestion that I really wanted to make is that in the future, which I think we can reasonably expect to see more of these things happening, these extreme storms, all of this water and flooding, to have some sort of initiative to have, I don't know if that would be the police department or someone out there actually directing and managing traffic, because it was terrible. It was terrible. Like even up and down Goddard and Wayne, which this area is not normally congested at all. There's no congestion. It was like a full-blown traffic jam. I don't know if anyone here experienced that, but it was severe. It was so terrible. And part of the reason why is because they closed Wayne Road, which I understand. Underneath that viaduct, it does tend to flood where the bridge is before you get to the 94. But it would have been better if maybe they would have left it open and then just blocked off the area that was flooded, whereas, you know, it would have eliminated or allowed for the traffic to kind of filter off a little better. And so just in the future, I think it is important to have some more structure on how to handle the traffic in this area, because it was terrible. Like, I was walking distance from my house and waiting in line for like 30 minutes just to get to a completely flooded road and have to turn around and figure out, whereas if things would have just been organized a bit better, it would have been safer and a lot less chaotic. So just a suggestion for the future.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, and I'm sure the mayor was aware of it, not only was 94 right up under the viaduct flooded, but also with the trees, with the storm, tornado or whatever hit us, it knocked trees down and it blocked the north and the south lanes of Wayne Road. That was not Romulus, that was Wayne County. Romulus did a great job of getting Wayne County out here to clean that up. So you had a lot of blockage that had nothing to do with the city of Romulus that was causing unnecessary traffic jams all over, because people were like trying to figure out where to go. And you're talking about, sometimes it's hard to prepare when you don't even know what's coming. I would suggest, Amir, a lot, because I've seen from what the young lady said down Wick Road, if we can get some signs up, like on Wick Road and even at both entrances of our subdivision, to say no commercial vehicles or no commercial trucks, because I got pictures on my phone where the 18-wheelers was coming through just like, get out the way, and so if they see that sign, because the sign up there now, it's just like it's not there. They coming through there, speeding, not stopping. And I was even talking to the fire chief about, and the DPW about some temporary stop signs, because nobody is stopping. And so you got a four-way, nobody's stopping. And I'm telling you, it's getting crazy for Wayne Road to be shut down, Wayne Ecorse to be shut down for the length of time. It is no issue to Romulus, but somebody is going to end up getting hurt if we don't get some better signage out there. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, public comment, come up to the podium.
My name's Frank Michaud. I live on Wick Road. And I had to raise my hand because you said get some signs out to keep the commercial traffic off your road. I cannot believe that was seriously said. There's signs on both ends of Wick Road, and they're flying down our road. I put out a traffic cam after we talked last. 760 vehicles captured on my cam within 24 hours. 760. That's not counting the ones that are moving way too fast for my camera to get them. The semis that are going way too fast for my cameras to get them. And you think that signs are going to work? They haven't worked there. That's just a waste of city resources. Don't bother with the signs, because they're not going to listen. Maybe some law enforcement. I know the city's strapped for police officers, but sometimes, you got to do what you got to do, because the signs ain't going to work. You can put up all the signs you want. You can put up stop signs, but if somebody wants to ignore signs, they're going to ignore them. They already do. Wick Road's a perfect example of it. Speed limit don't mean crap to them. No commercial vehicles don't mean crap to them. No through traffic don't mean crap to them. The sign I had in my front yard that said, what part of no commercial vehicles don't you understand didn't mean crap to them? So why would we waste money on signs? That money would be better used for the police force, seriously. I would not waste my money on signs, Mr. Mayor. I just had to get up and say that. Signs.
We need signs.
Thank you, sir.
We need signs.
Any other comments from the audience? If there's no other comments from the audience, Madam Clerk, we'll close that part out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 9 is unfinished business.
Mayor?
Just to address some of these issues under unfinished business, and unfortunately, I agree with you, the signs seem to be a waste of money. People like you and I and council will look at those signs and adhere to the signs, but we're getting a lot of people who just won't read the signs. I was driving to investigate the progress on Wayne and Ecorse last week, and I had a semi follow right down Atlas. It's a gravel road, quiet neighborhood, and he said, well, you drove around the sign, so I figured I could. So it's a mentality with these frontline guys and these truck drivers right now, and that's where the culture's got to be changed. And after you guys came to the last council meeting too, another thing we did was we have our photographer out there taking photographs. So we have communication. We can reach out to these trucking companies. We know who's doing it, whether it's Amazon or TNT or whatever semis are going down those roads. And we're going to try another way by going to management and saying, look, you've been discourteous to our residents and our citizens. We can't have PD sit there as much as we'd like to. We could try some traffic calming measures, but we're actually now taking photographs, and we're deploying them a couple times a day to take pictures at Wick and Wayne and also on Cogswell Road and on Beverly Road. Beverly's another one where people are just not paying attention to these signs. And a lot of them aren't afraid of law enforcement. We deployed our vehicle speed and tracking trailer out there, and somebody must have got a ticket because they came back and vandalized and tore apart our new trailer. So unfortunately, there's a culture right now, and we have to deal with it. And these people are discourteous and driving a semi through a neighborhood. That's why we put these signs out in the beginning. We thought it would help curb that behavior, but they follow their map and they go where that goes, and we don't have a solve for it. We're going to continue to try to work on different ways to solve it. But until you change that culture and people actually have respect for one another, respect for those signs, we're going to continue to have that issue. But we're not done trying as well. Another issue, we brought up the flooding in the airport. Yeah, that is a big issue, and we don't have jurisdiction over the airport, but we do have a pretty good relationship with the airport. And it wasn't that the pump was broken. Their CEO reached out to me during operations and said, this is where we're at capacity, but if I run these pumps, I'm gonna flood out part of your neighbors and your residents on Harrison Road and Northline Road, and he doesn't wanna do that. Decision was made to short cycle the pumps and discharge slowly. And we'd also said we'd rather flood out Middle Belt and let the water crest on Middle Belt rather than have a negative impact on the residents. So it wasn't that a pump was broken. They did reach out this time, and this happened in the past where they just turned those pumps on. And they did reach out and follow up, and we also had a foreman checking to make sure that they were slowing that water flow down, and they did hold up to that. So we worked pretty closely with them. We don't have jurisdiction over them, but we do have a pretty good relationship. And I was appreciative of Chad Newton, the CEO, reaching out and saying, hey, we're at capacity, I need to do something with this water, but if I flip the switch, it's gonna have a huge negative impact on your residents, and we don't wanna do that. So there's progress being made, and we're gonna continue to work with the airport. And I think that with those unprecedented water amounts, like you said, we had an expressway underwater. We had an airport shut down, and we talked about traffic. We saw people carrying their luggage and walking down hills, leaving the airport because they didn't know where else to go. This is an issue that people didn't have any idea or any preparation on how to deal with this. Roadways and 275 being shut down, and those people were being forced onto our road systems, and they were flooded out. The best result was people trying to stay home when that was going on, and we're going to have a debrief meeting and what worked and what didn't work, and if we can have plans in place. But some events like that, man, it's just incredible, an event, and Mother Nature was shaking her fist, and we could just try to deal with it the best we can. But it was a cooperative effort with the airport as well. Like I said, I hope that we continue that relationship with them, and it continues to benefit Taylor. It's good to know that you had a positive effect, and I can let them know that. They were just thinking about Romulus residents. Well, hey, it affected and has a positive outcome for Taylor as well. We're always looking out for our residents, so I'll make sure that I give them that feedback. What else do we have? Oh, and I think on the Oscar Road, you came to the One Romulus meeting, and I think we got a meeting for this Wednesday. Has it been confirmed yet? We're going to come out to the site. I think staff has reached out on. Oh, you got a message today? Okay. Okay. Well, I apologize. So I'll be coming out as soon as I can to get eyes on that situation. And I appreciate you bringing that to our attention too, because those are things I've been around here a long time and I didn't know about those. So I'm interested to meet you on Wednesday if that's the time that we can to get out there. I think that's all the items I had. The Oscar train issue, the trucks, yeah. I live in the same area. I don't like seeing trucks going by, and I really, hate being ignored. And those truck drivers are going around everything. The residential vehicles are going everywhere. For that gentleman in a semi to follow me down a dirt road in the neighborhood, what was he thinking? And then he was forced to we could either let him through the Wayne E-course intersection or make him back all the way down through that, which would be a bigger hazard. So we had to let him through there. So that's the problem, and we get a hold of these truck drivers, and hopefully by going to upper management and the plan will work to find out who's there and to let them know what behavior is going on. Maybe that'll help, I don't know. And we're going to continue to work with PD, and I know Finance reach out to the county and the Waymaster as well. So we'll continue to try to solve those issues. We don't have solved for them yet, but we're going to continue on them. We know they're a priority, so we'll continue to work. And I believe that was all unless there's something I missed on those.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all, he had his hand up, I wasn't for sure.
No, wait a minute. He spoke, wait a minute, oh, just a minute.
I can talk to you after.
Talk to him afterwards, and then, because this can go on all night. You had a question?
Yes. I would just like to say to the mayor, the sign that comes into our subdivision off of Wayne Road and Ecorse says no through traffic, but road closed through traffic. So if there's no commercial vehicles or no trucks, it's a difference. Even if they ignore it, when the police is there, because they come through a lot, because you got school finna start. And it's gonna be very hectic for those to be flying through, not allowing the buses to come, because it's a lot of kids in there now. So those stop signs are necessary. All signs are not always good on every road, but that subdivision, until Wayne and Ecorse is open up, needs some major attention like ASAP. Thank you.
No,
John.
I agree with you. And also Wick
John.
Road with the pedestrian traffic and schools getting ready to open
Yeah,
up. So
yeah.
we have issues to solve.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Mayor, when do they expect this to be open at the earliest? December?
They're still saying end of this year. So they've had a couple delays, but nothing that seems so significant. They're going to push that back. Roberto continues to push and push and push.
Okay, fine.
And we did relay, the reason we wanted it open was not just for the commerce and traffic, it's because of concern for the kids on these,
Yeah.
where everybody's
I'm more
taking these
concerned
routes.
about the
Beverly,
people
Wick.
opening up for the residents than I am for their
Exactly,
commerce.
exactly.
All right.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more unfinished business? All right, that takes us to number 10, new business.
John.
New business? One new business, Mayor.
It's not no business, but I got something just a minute.
Wait.
Through the chair, I would ask the mayor, I spoke with him early about it on September the 9th. No, couldn't have been September the 9th. August the 9th. She got the wrong date on here. A 9-year-old young lady named Michelle Bradley called 911 because her grandmother had passed out and she couldn't get her up. So she ran outside asking for someone to help her call 911. The address is 5932 Colorado. Her name is Skyland Michelle Bradley. And I was wondering if we can acknowledge that. I see it happening all the time in other cities where we acknowledge those kids that use the technology that they're taught, whether it be at school or at home, to get help for their loved ones. So if we can do something for that 9-year-old young lady, that would be great.
I think it's a great idea. We've done that before in this community. These kids step up and they take
Yeah.
full action. We got to acknowledge it.
Thank you.
Council, would you like to adopt a resolution to acknowledge her?
Yes.
Then if someone would entertain a motion, Councilman Williams, you could provide us with the information for the student, but if someone could entertain a motion for a resolution.
I'll make that
Through the chair.
motion for a resolution to
Through
honor
the chair,
the...
just an idea, maybe we can invite her to the meeting and bring her grandmother, and then do
Yes.
the resolution while she's here.
Right.
Just-
Okay.
That's better.
Just a suggestion.
That sounds,
So do you
That's
want to
great.
do the resolution now? We can do the resolution now. I'll make that motion that we do a resolution for the young lady.
Support.
it's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Williams for a resolution. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion is approved.
Great, thank you, council. Takes us to number 11, the warrant, and request approval of warrant number 23-16.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, I'll make that motion that we pay warrant 23-16 in the following amounts. General Fund, $82,149.07. Local Street Fund, $2,810. Public Safety Fund, $34,570.14. Cemetery Fund, $190.18. Cable TV, $359.74. Merriman Road Special Assessment, $8,645.57. Oakwood SAD, $141.69. Community Employee Activity Fund, $242.61. Garbage and Rubbish Collection Fund, $486.72. 911 Service Fund, $42,947.02. NARC Forfeiture State, $1,036.01. Library Fund, $14,900.39. DDA, $30,224.38. Tifa District 2, $2,046.34. Water and Sewer Fund, $901,397.89. Motor Vehicle, $11,790. Technology Services, $51,793.26. Retiree Insurance Benefits, $118,534.84. Revolving Fund, $16,502.75. Current tax, $613.58. Payroll Fund, $157,804.50. Totaling all funds, $1,479,186.71.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley, to pay warrant number 23-16 for $1,479,186.71. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion approved.
Number 12 is communication.
Chair.
Yes, Ms. Talley.
A couple of things. First, some notable birthdays, because they had some celebrations last week. Stacy Page, our treasurer, celebrated a monumental birthday, so just a shout out to Stacy Page for her monumental birthday. David Jones, one of our strong community residents, had a celebration at Fernandez Park. It was a great event, so shout out to David Jones for his birthday as well. Want to thank the mayor for bringing the one community meeting to Pentecost Church, that's Reverend Willis Church. The residents were very engaged. It was a great conversation. They had the mayor on the hot seat, but you were very transparent and answered the questions very, very well. So thank you for that. Very nice turnout of residents, and they didn't hold back. They didn't hold back. So thank you, Mayor, for being out there, answering those questions that they had. And thank you for the residents for coming out and bringing those questions to our mayor. Thank you. I want to shout out for with everything going on with the weather and the storm and possible tornado, we had a Relay for Life event over the weekend, and just want to shout out to Shona Sylvie Baum for all the work she does with this. I want to say this for myself. I thank God that I don't have to deal with cancer. I have not had to deal with anybody in my family with it, maybe other stuff, but not cancer. And so I have committed to Shona to be out there for 24 hours to help her, because I don't have to deal with it. And Lord, don't let me deal with it. So let me do this piece, this small piece that I can give back for Relay for Life. And how I got involved, they started a Romulus community prayer line for 3 of our people, notable residents in our city, Lila McNeil, Debbie DeMoisy, and then I think it was Bill Gibson was out there. I remember them so heavily because Mayor Burke under him started a community prayer line, Romulus community prayer line, because they were all dealing with this at the same time. And them was only 3. There's a whole bunch of people we've lost in this community to cancer. It's important, y'all. That's all I'm saying. It's important. So I had committed to her, and I want to shout out to Captain John Theed of the fire department. He was out there for 24 hours. So I want to shout him. And then people came through, but she needs help. She needs people to participate. She needs people to engage with this. Or if she can't get that, we may lose this. If we want to lose that, then we lose it. But if we want to keep this here in our city, we got to help this girl. This is a strong cause. And this thing is it's almost like people catch it. It's so prevalent. It's very prevalent. And you don't know who's going to catch it. It comes on a dime. So I just think this is something we do well with supporting things in this city. We really need to support this, refocus our efforts on helping her with this Relay for Life. It's an annual thing. I would hate to see it go away because we don't have the people to participate and engage in this very, very, very real disease, or whatever you want to call it. It's real. So I just want to shout that out for her. Thank you, Shona, for all your hard work. It's a lot. It's a lot. And like I said, I'm out there for 24 hours, and I'm tired. And for me, I don't have to deal with it, so that's a small piece I can sacrifice because I don't have to deal with that, and I thank the Lord I don't. But the small parts of being uncomfortable, whatever, for 24 hours, because the people who deal with cancer have to deal with it every day, every day. So thank you, Shona, for all the work you do. I just think we need to really get on with her a little bit more with that. And then, again, thank you, Captain John Thee, for your 24-hour support and Shona in this initiative. The last thing I want to talk about is our Pumpkin Fest, which will be up here in a few weeks, coming up in a couple of weeks. And so we have a lot of opportunities, pre-opportunities to get involved. You can go to the Romulus Pumpkin Fest Facebook page. You can enter the Rotary Parade of Lights on Friday. Get your family, friends, and neighbors together. String all your Christmas lights on a vehicle and come and enter the parade. There's a chance to win $50 prizes for the entry that gets the most likes festival weekend. Saturday, you can enter the classic car show, the cornhole tournament, or pumpkin chunking competition. Sunday, you can get out and walk the 5K, which starts at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday the 17th, into the motorcycle parade, or you can take out all your stress and anger of the brand-new Pumpkin Smash competition. Before festival weekend, there are some contests you can enter. We have the digital photo contest for cutest baby, cutest pet, tallest and largest sunflowers. And don't forget to send in your videos to the Pumpkin Festival Facebook page to enter the Romulus Is Got Talent competition that will be held on Sunday, September 17th. It's a fun-filled weekend. We hope people will celebrate. It's our 25th year anniversary for Pumpkin Fest, y'all. We got to do this big. It's going to be big. So be a part of that, participate, and support our city in this 25th milestone celebration of our Pumpkin Fest. Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Ms. Abdo?
I also want to thank Shona Sylvie for all the help and everything she did for Relay. But I'd like to thank the people that maybe they didn't spend the night there, but there were people that donated a couple hours, donated a basket, and it made the whole thing complete. So thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, I've just been getting a lot of calls with the loss of my brother in June, the way his life was taken away from him at such an early age. He's a veteran. Do we have any idea when shovels will go in the ground for that monument?
I know right before I left town, Gary opened that bid, so I had to do a follow-up with Gary first thing in the morning to find out if we have contractors who bid on the job, and if they didn't, what's the next steps to get a shovel in the ground. I agree that's imperative to get that going, and right now, you know, with tradesmen being as busy as they are and things going on, it might be an issue for us, but that's important. We got to get that monument back in place.
Okay, thank you. And then also, as always, Forgotten Harvest tomorrow. We start, the truck normally gets there between 9:30. Once they unload, we roll the cars. So everyone is welcome. Please take advantage. It's not getting any better with food and just other necessities for families. And so Forgotten Harvest is there for the residents of Romulus and the surrounding communities. So don't be ashamed, don't be shy. Come in and benefit from what they send every week. Thank you.
If there's no more communication, takes us to number 13, adjournments.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned.